Slapping Minecraft on something is a surefire way to make money from it. Socks? No, Minecraft socks. Bible? No, Minecraft Bible. Truck? Nah, Minecraft truck. Mojang recently rebranded many of their social channels to Minecraft solely to take advantage of this, and after the failure of their original games, they've even taken to Minecraft spin-offs of varying success. Minecraft Legends launched in April of 2023 and dropped to fewer than a dozen Steam players within just 3 months, and now Mojang gives us the death blow because they're officially taking a step back from development. To be precise, this game wasn't just developed by Mojang.
Because we are making Minecraft Legends with some friends who live in a faraway land called Canada, and some friends who live over in Redmond as well.
So what went wrong here? Mojang and Blackbird made a game that wasn't popular with Minecraft players, but also wasn't popular with strategy fans. Therefore, it would be handy if someone who was both could explain.
I'll call IDX Toycat. He can tell us.
Ah, that's a good idea.
That's right, it's me. I love RTS and I love Minecraft, and I've been watching the inevitable fall since before the game even came out with their marketing and their approach to multiplayer. But even on day one, when everyone completed the game in 5 hours, I would have defended it because it isn't that bad. The game releases new content every single month, and in fact the announcement of the game's development ceasing was actually an announcement for the final Lost Legend, Snow vs. Snouts, and so when I heard about this, I immediately had to jump in and play it, and so here it is, by the way. You are jumping into a world where you can only attack the piglins using a redstone cannon, but it has all of the upgrades applied and also has the fun distinction of not having any cooldown. So you are a turret and you can destroy things, and it was very frustrating to say the least. I didn't even know till just now, but they stopped doing monthly Lost Legends all the way back in October. January is the last one. That's kind of sad. Okay, this is a weird concept. All you can do is use a redstone launcher to win. I remember this used to be super OP, so it's fun to see that you can still live those old days right now. Fire redstone like it's nothing and destroy it all. I totally forgot about how fun it is to cure Nevrak and slowly encroach on the enemy's territory, even in single player. And even though it means I only get my cannon a little bit closer, it was always just so much fun to do. This felt satisfying at first, but at this point, it's just playing Minecraft Legends as if it was a real-time strategy, i.e. from the top-down perspective, which is pretty cool, actually. I mean, they are showing that the game could be really great in a different format. Although, definitely needs more than just one redstone cannon to make that work. Oh, now I've got a boss fight to do. Oh, the beast is here. This is not a very fun boss fight at all, by the way. I do not know why they included it. Like, he's sat in the middle of all of my forces, and I'm spamming the most powerful cannon in the game at him, and it's just like, yeah, do that for another, 3-4 minutes, and you'll have a good time. I don't like that, but that's fine. Okay, I've just snuck around from the back, and I'm gonna destroy this tower from here. It seems a lot easier this way. I did eventually defeat it though. I got this new hero skin and I had a surprising amount of fun, but it made me realize that the gameplay has changed a little bit, and it'd be fair for me to play through the game once more just to properly understand how it is that the gameplay has changed over time and to properly articulate my feelings on why this was a failure. So let's talk about that now. Minecraft Legends opens with a really fun cinematic that references the base game, although the Java edition, and then throws you into the open world where it insists you must go and save a village. You do this by swinging your sword through a big horde of piglins, and once you've killed them all, you're able to restore the village to its health by building structures using these build alleys. It's fun to watch them build these big structures in just seconds, and it means that you're able to not only heal the village, but also defend it using walls, towers, and gates. Watching just how fast these structures are built is something that leaves many players in awe of the golden allies and their abilities, and immediately after doing this, you have to defend this village from a new wave of piglins, something you can do by summoning in golems to defend you. This is the third pillar of the game. It's not just building and you the hero, but instead you can command armies which you can use to do all of the fighting for you, something which is just great for this defense, but immediately afterwards it's your job to find and destroy the piglin bases that allow these mobs to make their way to the overworld. And this makes sense. Rather than trying to destroy the tank factory. Rather than fighting the fire, fight the person who started the fire. And in the same way, you must take down the places these piglins are coming from. And once you find the structures, it's your job to... I'm just kidding. I say it's your job, but really, you've got to stand there and send a bunch of guys in as they slowly dismantle these structures. In the original release of the game, there was a lot of criticism that you had to go to 3 separate piglin bases, and you had to watch as your golems destroyed destroyed them because you couldn't do any damage, but they actually lowered this to 2 piglin bases in a later update, and also made it so that you don't do no damage to them, but instead do effectively so little that you could never destroy the structure by yourself. And I do not know how they think that was addressing the criticism, because your role as the hero of this game is being able to attack mobs most of the time. However, once the enemies are destroyed, it is just your job to stand there and watch your golems destroy structures. This game was marketed as being about a hero. It's literally called Legends, but your role is effectively to be a supervisor while you simply watch the real legends do the work, something which is reinforced by the night beacon. This is the big final mission of the tutorial-ish section of the game. This is the one that's designed to convince you that there is so much fun to be had here, and eventually you'll have all of this, skeletons, creepers, and zombies. You get to send in the creeper potential, which used to destroy your bases in Minecraft, and use it to destroy the piglins in this game. This is a very satisfying power increase, and is clearly the big impression that Minecraft Legends wants to leave you with. However, again, you aren't really the legend yourself. Instead, you collect those legends and you supervise them so hard, but your character isn't an essential component of this, but instead feels like an awkward addition. It's like the 7 new default Minecraft skins. You don't get to be a Steve or an Alex, you get to feel like an Effie. You know, you're in the mix there somewhere. Someone might know your name if they really cared and looked into it, but you don't feel like you're the person in the front. And although being an Effie isn't all bad, you can literally summon monsters from thin air, and it's your job to decide the composition of your warband. If you pick the right numbers and the right variants of mobs, then you will be the one who decides your team's strategy and the victories or failures you come into. This is something that is a very good underlying strategy. However, every layer that's built on top of it leaves something to be desired. For example, the way you summon enemies is you build the spawner. Okay, it takes a little bit of time, but that's fine. And then you hold down the summon button, and as long as you have the resources, which you always do, the only real downside is it takes a small amount of time to summon each mob, and then there is a maximum number that you can have. This sounds like a fine mechanic and one that matches every other strategy game. However, instead of just costing time and resources, it costs active time. You are meant to be the hero of the battlefield that's in there leading your troops, but if you want to summon any more, you have to sit on the spawner and wait politely as seconds pass you by and you build a big army. If you want to build a nice variety, which is the entire point of the game, you have to stop spamming the X button here and move over to a different spawner before building more over there. This means that building different facets of the same army can be very tricky, and although the game encourages you, have some zombies, have some creepers, have some of these, have some healing golems, it's actually very, very hard to build all of these spawners close by to each other and then use them in just the right numbers. This is before considering the fact that the game actually is effectively split in two, as you both have to raid enemy structures like the night beacon, but you also need to defend what you've already claimed, with villages and mob habitats being under threat constantly. On harder difficulties, it is almost every night that you must defend your bases, and despite the game giving you a lot of passive defenses in the form of arrow towers, they couldn't quite decide if they wanted it to be a fully passive or partially active activity, and so in reality, these defenses are just the starting point. You need to go in there and babysit the defenses that you already built just to make sure that they don't crumble and you don't lose your village, something which also weakens your strength of agency and seems like it's just there to pad out the game. We'll talk about the game length later, because that is one of the big criticisms people had. However, I think one of the big things about Minecraft Legends in particular, again with Minecraft in the title, is how people were introduced to it, and that is something that comes down to marketing. Minecraft Legends was first revealed to the public in June of 2022 with a 2-minute trailer that used just 13 seconds of gameplay. Here are those 13 seconds, by the way. Yeah, that was literally everything they had to show, because the rest of the trailer instead chooses to focus on the story of uniting the overworld against the piglins, something which is very dramatic and clearly did get people excited about the game if likes and views are anything to go by. However, going back to gameplay, you'll realize that even within these 13 seconds, there is a clear problem that immediately manifests itself, and it's not just Minecraft Legends' fear of showing it, it's also what you, the player, actually do in these 13 seconds, or rather, don't do. In these clips, you're just just watching some allies do their thing, the player for the trailer even spinning in circles to show how they have nothing else to do. In this one, you're walking through a forest, and only in this clip with some piglins, where you have to sway away the piglins to protect your attacking cobblestone golems, do you actually do anything. Even in this big dramatic one where you're about to destroy the Nether portal, you see how immediately after sending in the golems, the player starts to run away because he is no longer needed. At the time of this trailer's announcement, it wasn't anything too concerning. In fact, it was a very well-revered trailer, and many people were excited for the game. However, 9 months prior to the release of a brand new title from a major series is a very weird time to have seen less than 15 seconds of gameplay, especially because
we were working on it before the Nether update had really come out.
Based on the release date of the Nether update and the fact that very little correlated between that and the piglins in this game, you can tell that at least 2 years of development had happened by this time, meaning that over 2 years into a game's development cycle, just 9 months before release, having less than 15 seconds of gameplay is something you might be concerned by. Even more concerningly, I think if you look at the launch trailer, the one to say it is out now, people can literally go and play it, this also had the exact same problem of a lack of gameplay, which says something concerning when, rather than showing you this footage of you freeing some llamas, they would immediately rather cut to these much more compelling llamas running through in a pre-rendered cinematic. This is something that the games industry as a whole has, but it is something specifically worth noting with Minecraft Legends because of how extensive the criticism of the gameplay was post-launch. This implies that either they didn't know about it and just coincidentally didn't think that the gameplay was worth focusing on, or perhaps they did know about it and figured that maybe they could hide that behind other things that would implore people to play the game. This is something that is backed up by the post-launch campaign, with the biggest event of course being the one officially in Minecraft. So as Minecraft Legends came out with a bang, it very quickly dropped off. A lot of games have this big spike on the launch of release, and sometimes if they're lucky this continues to go up, but for the most part every game has a big spike followed by a long drop to the bottom. Minecraft Legends isn't particularly unique for the shape of this graph, that is very expected for basically any entertainment property, but instead the severity of it. In the first week of its release, there were around 5,322 players playing on average, just using Steam to measure this, so using that subsample of players, you might guess that, okay, it goes down 10 or 20% the next week, but no, instead it goes down 80% to 1,100 players, and then it drops even further, another 66% down to 427, and then just 3 weeks after the game has come out, it has already lost a staggering 96% of its peak players from release. These are players who never come back to the game, even to this date there has never been that many, and so Minecraft figured, oh, one of the big problems with Minecraft Legends is not enough Minecraft players know about it, and so they did this very infamous campaign inside of Minecraft itself. This was advertised to every Minecraft Bedrock player who loaded up the game during the promotion, and there were rewards for completing it. It was voiced over by Jeb, and it was a very fun thing. Although this promotion wasn't particularly fondly remembered, it might have been the worst Minecraft server event they've ever done, to be honest, mostly because it was a pure ad for another game. It did have a fun little gameplay loop where you had to kill a bunch of piglins and basically taught you that Minecraft Legends was about you being a hero and killing as many of these guys, banishing them back to the Nether as you could. This was a surprisingly fun event actually, but it does raise the problem of Mojang continuously promoting Legends while still barely really talking about what it is you do in that game. This could have been out of difficulty of explaining an action strategy, but I think based on the fact that the gameplay takes such a big backseat to cinematics in the trailer, and I think the fact that the gameplay is very focused on you, the hero, something which many people would have wanted, that they maybe knew that the gameplay wasn't what people wanted and hoped that by promoting other things they might instead get them in the game where they'd be happier later. This is a bit more of a philosophical question, but do you think if you have a problem with yourself or with your product that you should try and highlight that and hope that people who buy the product just don't mind it, or should you instead focus on your strengths? I think it's entirely fair to take the second tack. You don't have to mention all of your worst qualities to people, but they should at least be somewhat on display, because otherwise you'll have a bunch of disappointed customers, something that Mojang can sadly attest to all too well now. However, the question of why you would want a bunch of people playing your game, even if you're not necessarily sure they're interested in it, is something that you might ask, and the obvious response is profit, and boy was Minecraft Legends designed to be profitable because it contained microtransactions. There There are huge swaths of people that don't believe that microtransactions belong in a Minecraft space, and we are lucky those people don't know about Minecraft Bedrock, but they are still a healthy majority of Minecraft fans. These people were probably shocked by how blatant Minecraft Legends was in its attempt to make a little money from you before you were even on good terms with it. And to prove that, let's load up the game from scratch, shall we? Welcome to Minecraft Legends. As you can see, there are 4 different ways to play this game, as indicated by these 4 tiles. There is the campaign, the versus mode, the lost legends and myths, and then there is the marketplace. Actually, that's not a way to play the game. We're just going to make sure that you know immediately that you can buy things, and that is something very important to us. So important, in fact, that all of these other 3 options, they grey out when you're not hovering over them. However, the marketplace does not, because you should immediately be aware that you want to buy this red skin and chip us a few extra dollars, because although you just paid for the game, you're not really doing anything great yet. In fact, even worse than this is the fact that one of these extra options, Switch Hero, immediately says that you should download more skins in the marketplace, because immediately they're making their priorities clear. You need to be spending a little extra on this game, really, don't you think? And although I do think it's probably a bad strategy as a whole to immediately try and advertise skins to people before they even know what the skins are going to be for, why is this skeletal big beat cool? I know after playing the game, but immediately after loading up you don't. Although I think it's probably a poor strategy on its own right, because you won't have connections between these things, it's also just a bad look in my opinion. And in case you think that cosmetics are the only thing, because I think nowadays cosmetics are an accepted part of the video game industry. If you want to make a few extra dollars to support your development, most people agree that's just fine. But actually, one of the things that they'll also sell you are these, these myths which you can get. The game launched only with Lost Legends, and myths came later, but myths were already in the game in the marketplace, letting you know that 1/4 of the non-marketplace options were also a subtle advertisement that you should purchase fun creator content, and this was immediately letting people know that yeah, they wanted to have a marketplace, they wanted to sell you content from other people, and they wanted to make at least 990 Minecoins, because again, it's not just that you're selling things to people, it's that you're immediately jumping into the idea of having a coin transaction currency. Admittedly, it exists from Minecraft already, but it just makes people feel the wrong way when they immediately load up a game. All the options are in the wrong order too, by the way. I don't know why that's the case, but you immediately load up a game and they're like, look at all the things we're ready to sell you. The moment that you are bored of this game, we are excited to give you new things to pay for, which is probably one of the things that rubs salt in the wound when we load up the game and play the campaign. Some people will try to convince you that length doesn't matter. However, those people have clearly not played Minecraft Legends, because lots of people rate the value of something as being proportional to the price divided by the number of hours of entertainment you get from it. This is a flawed metric in lots of ways, because I think you should measure by the hours you enjoy, and also appreciate that your time is limited and a well-paced movie or game is not costing you more money per hour, but instead saving you hours. In either case though, one of the things that Minecraft receives so much praise for is its near infinite value ratio. I have gotten 20,000 hours from a product I spent about $20 on in 2012. Its cost per hour is literally less than a penny to me, and I have enjoyed those hours a great deal. Minecraft Legends fails this equation in terms of dollars per hour, but also the quality of those hours. To be short and focused would be one thing, but instead the game is quite repetitive. There are 3 types of enemies, and they each have 3 bases, and the entire goal of the game is to take down each of these 9 bases and the nether portals at the center of them. Each of these can take 10 to 30 minutes, and maybe more if you get lost and confused, but ultimately this is the only real objective standing between you and the end of the game. There is a progression system that takes place in the meantime, and this is surprisingly fun because of the resources the game gives you. One is more limited than any other, and it is Prismarine. Unlike Lapis, which you get from killing enemies, and all of the other resources which your Gather allies can, well, gather for you, the Prismarine is the only resource which is obtained exclusively by doing these aggressive actions on piglin bases, because each structure destroyed will give you a little bit of Prismarine. This is something which you can increase your potential supply of, but it does have to be spent regularly, leading you to come back to the center of the map where you must upgrade your base and your overall abilities. This can be by increasing the number of mobs which will follow you, or increasing the number of mobs that you can spawn as a total, or even by increasing the variety of mobs by making new types of spawners and new ores to collect using it. However, the overall endeavor is always the same. You are trying to become more powerful so so that you can go into another piglin base later and be more ready to take it down. This is one of the absolute gems of the game and really is one of the systems that makes you feel like an actual legend, because as you take down more piglin structures, you are becoming more powerful and able to use more options to take down future ones. This is very, very fun and is one of the greatest parts of the game. It has a much truncated form in the multiplayer, it's worth mentioning, but the idea of slowly improving your tech is one of the classics of the real-time strategy genre, and it's actually implemented quite well in the single-player campaign here, being very simple for anyone to understand that as you get more Prismarine, you get the ability to upgrade your abilities more, to then get more Prismarine and do the same over and over and over again, all leading up to the final fight, of course. This is something which I really want to give some big praise for. However, because the campaign lasts such a short amount of time, again, if you're on the ball, it can be about 5 hours max. It means that by the time you finally self-realize and you're at your most powerful, you've reached the end boss anyway, and one of the things that makes people very critical of this game is once you complete this final boss, the game is just done. You can walk around the world, you can fly around it, you can gather resources, but there's no particular reason to do any of that. The game has a definitive end, which is something that is brave to do, but there's no real single-player content after this point. Once you have completed Minecraft Legends, your only choices are to try it again on a harder difficulty. There is an achievement for doing that, at least, or you can do it again on the same difficulty and try a different set of specs, maybe go after those towers this time instead, or you could just not play anymore, and all of a sudden, those Steam player charts are starting to make sense, huh? This is a real disappointment to me as someone who likes real-time strategy, because the single player leaves a lot to be desired in length. Being about 6 hours long and having a quarter of that be things that aren't really the game means that you really have to jump into multiplayer if you want something that isn't lame, and you know what, let's do this quickly. The online multiplayer in Minecraft Legends is a really great time if you have a big group of friends who all like Minecraft Legends and you're all willing to stick to the rules and stick to the game so that you can play all the way through it. You can make some custom rules and have a great time with this, and this is what people might have done for hours on end when the game first came out. But obviously time has passed since then, and now there are a lot of critical issues seeping through. One of the biggest of these is the fact that the entire multiplayer is balanced around a 4v4 experience. The world doesn't get any smaller for 1v1, and the number of piglin bases doesn't get any smaller either, meaning that a 1v1 just doesn't quite feel right. You can't be on the offensive and the defensive at the same time, and even 2v2 starts to really not feel like you're doing much competition. The game is perfectly balanced around 4v4, which means you're going to have to play with randoms unless you have 7 friends, and you know, couldn't be me. So now you have 7 strangers in the game, 3 on your team and 4 on the enemy team, and the game will accommodate this just great. If you can find a game nowadays, you will be able to immediately matchmake with these people. However, it doesn't have any of the other systems which would make this actually work. If you think about it, you are about to sign up for a strategy with a bunch of people, and you want to make sure that there's a reason they all want to win. The whole point of strategy is that everyone is trying to win and only one team can be victorious, but there's no real incentive for winning a multiplayer game. The entire joy of it is that once it's done, it says you win, and then you're straight on to the next one. This is maybe fine by itself. Not keeping track of your win and losses is a very basic feature that seems like it's missing, but maybe they just want it to be all about the fun. But if so, they need to have a serious way to discourage people from leaving midway through one of these fights. If a fight is balanced around 4 versus 4 people and someone leaves one of the team, this is a big problem that either is filled by having a stranger join the game and, you know, often joining the losing team and having a bad experience, or it's an issue that's filled by having it so that if any person leaves, then that team just immediately loses. This is something that games like League of Legends solve quite well by saying if you leave a game, then you can't join another one for a little bit, because you shouldn't be leaving a game just to get straight into another one, but Minecraft Legends has no such controls. In fact, they don't have any controls to stop someone joining your game, even midway through, and actively trolling everyone on their team. Not just by not being useful, this would be a big problem by itself if you sit there in the back, but you can actively recall other people's troops, something they only fixed much later, and after that point it had already been known that yeah, if you play with people you don't trust, you will have a bad time, and oh, you don't have 7 friends in Minecraft Legends? That's surprising. Guess you can't really play the multiplayer. This is very disappointing because the game could have been really good. The game, starting really early on, Lapis is actually limited in multiplayer, unlike like the single player, and all of the upgrades are much cheaper because the idea is to buy them over the course of half an hour rather than over the course of a 5-hour campaign, meaning that you have this actual real-time strategy-like game of defending your base from the waves of piglins while also watching out for the enemy, while also trying to make sure that you upgrade that base. There are some great bones for an actually competitive, actually interesting online multiplayer that could be played over and over again, and some of those people might even buy skins eventually, but because of the short-sightedness of assuming that everyone would just play the campaign and then play the campaign again and then play the campaign again and only play multiplayer when they had 7 separate friends, or maybe I'm getting this all wrong and actually they just assumed that playing with 7 separate strangers would always be really, really fun, but in either case, the multiplayer of this game was just something that left me so disappointed. I wanted to like it so bad. I love the idea of 1v1ing in any strategy game. Even if it wasn't perfect, it would have been great, but the fact that they wouldn't make any changes or any tweaks until it was too late is one of the things that really threw the death blow into this game. If you don't have a consistent reason to come back, then even the fans are going to say, yeah, I'll just wait for an update or something, and unless those updates are exciting enough to actually lure them back, then they'll never come back to the game. Minecraft Legends had a system that not only failed to bring the excitement to new players to get them into the game, but they also failed to keep the players that they could lure in interested, which meant that the game was always going to be in a death cycle unless it could have enough players to just mill through them continuously, which wouldn't make any sense if they thought that they would sell skins to those same people. It feels like there's a big hole here, but maybe that's just me as a long-term Minecraft player seeing the differences between the support of this and Minecraft, and so maybe we should instead look at the wider public. What do real people think about Minecraft Legends? Well, let's check the reviews. Ultimately, none of the academic reasons for the failure of a game can really be applied to Minecraft Legends because those same factors might predict the failure of a game like Palworld, a game which proves that even if everyone is against the game on the surface, and even if it's buggy and broken, if it has the right premise and it lures people in, it can be wildly commercially successful, and so I figured it might be more interesting to look at the reviews for this game and see what actual people who played it thought. We'll split this into 2 categories because there are the game publications, so we have things like a review from, this is from IGN. Minecraft Legends, they give it a 7 out of 10, by the way. That's IGN giving it a 7. I think that's as low as their scores go. Minecraft Legends is an engaging strategy game that capably combines the established Minecraft world with a streamlined real-time strategy structure. 7 out of 10. The bottom line is that Minecraft Legends veers the popular sandbox game into real-time strategy territory, but misses the mark with clumsy controls, dull gameplay, and an empty open world. 2.5 out of 5, or I guess 5 out of 10 to average. And then we've got a 6 out of 10 that says it's colourful and vibrant, it's enjoyable to look at, defending allied villages in the story campaign is a fun tower defense challenge, and the first of the Lost Legends is a welcome strategic challenge, but you're forced to command troops from up close, which is frustrating. Limited options when it comes to ordering units, while approachable to pick up, undermines the strategic element to combat, and a simple resource collecting system that keeps you from really getting to know the world. This is something that is, the reviews from publications, but what do they know? The, media is dead, don't trust the mainstream. But if we look at actual people, so here are the Steam average reviews, 6 out of 10. If we look at actual people, the same kind of note is backed up here. This is a review that says not recommended because it's buggy, glitchy, etc. It is a functional game. The only issue is that the only functional part isn't fun. I keep trying to give it another try, but the whole experience just isn't very enjoyable. It's repetitive and boring at best, frustrating at worst, and I don't think any amount of updates will fix that. Very sad to hear about. We also have nothing to do after you beat the main campaign as of now, which is from someone who played 22 hours, that is more than most people. We also have I made the mistake of thinking that getting further into the game would eventually make it more fun. I was wrong. I likely won't get a refund at this point, but I'm still going to try, and these are negative reviews. Obviously 6 out of 10 means that some people liked it, but if we take a look at those reviews, you can see games good and fun to hop in for an hour or two, and then addictive, but both of these comments were left in mid-January, and in the time since then, they've played 2.1 and 2 hours respectively, which means that even the people who want to like this game, even the people who say they like it, don't actually come back repetitively enough, which is the big problem. There are lots of detractors, and even the biggest fans are kind of meh at best. You need to have enough hardcore fans to cancel out the people who won't like something Minecraft Legends has definitely done a bad job with, and so the the overall impression seems to be not that the overall game is bad, that would be unfair to the time and the craft of this game. I wondered for a while here if the game was just suffering from Minecraft that it had in the title, but instead if maybe this is the Minecraft theming that the game is really lacking. Without that Minecraft theming, the game could succeed, but I actually think the more depressing thought is that this game is so middle shelf that it would have been long forgotten by now without the Minecraft tag. The Minecraft theming is the only reason that people are there and the only reason that people even noticed that it shut down. Given that the time and the effort that went into this, the care that went into the animations of the mounts, the cutscenes, and all of these other beautiful details, that's just a little bit sad. But it all points to the underlying issue here, which is that the game isn't very legendary and it's also not very Minecraft. There are many different concerns about the length, about the gameplay, the monetization, the way all of this was put together and the way it was promoted to people, but ultimately all of that comes second to the actual game underneath, and sadly they couldn't truly decide whether they wanted to be a Minecraft spin-off game or whether they wanted to be an approachable version of the strategy genre for Minecraft fans. And because they didn't stick to a pathway where they could have gone all the way in on Minecraft, they could have had much more building as part of the element. You know, you build in Minecraft, you could have custom structures and really have that be a great part of the game, or they could, they could have lent into the idea of having more Minecraft stuff and actually fitting into the Minecraft theme and this story that ties into the world, or they could have leaned much more into being a strategy game. They could have gone in the tower defense direction that positive review mentioned. They could just go for making your bases really defensible and have it be something that's automated in that way, or they could make this a really approachable MOBA style strategy game. If, for example, your hero could have levels that you slowly improve, rather than improving your nebulous base in the center of the world, which is kind of confusing as a whole, maybe your character could improve at the same time. You could deal more damage personally, and the legend part of Minecraft Legend could have been improved much more. This is something that every time I look at the multiplayer, I just yearn for, because the game looks like it's going to jump in that direction and then stops just short of leaping right in. And ultimately, Minecraft are really happy that they made a whole new genre of action strategy for this game. But if you want to make a whole new genre, you can't just take two other things that exist and say, yeah, it's a bit of that and it's a bit of that, without understanding the core greatness underneath. And that is the sad thing about Minecraft Legends. There is so much effort and thought and hard work put into this project for people who are no doubt no longer going to be able to work on this and hopefully are going to land on their feet. But that work could have been avoided if they'd have been committed to making something that was a good standalone project first and then a Minecraft project later, or indeed if they'd have leaned into the Minecraft elements so that it didn't need to be, so that it could have been an expansion of the Minecraft universe, because it just didn't feel like either, and that is absolutely tragic as someone who wants to love the game but just can't. And that is why after this video I don't see myself coming back to that for any good reason. I want to like it, but after an hour I'm just done with the game, and like that I'm also done with explaining my thoughts on it. I am disappointed, and I hope that the next Minecraft spin-off they work on, they take this into account and can make a game that is emblematic of that genre, and at the very least hopefully a good introduction to it, while still being a good game in its own right. If they can't get that right, they'll have another Minecraft Earth, or Minecraft Story Modes, or Minecraft Dungeons, or
the following Thursday,
or Minecraft 3DS Edition, or Minecraft for the legacy consoles. It's going to end up in the same vein if they can't make a sustainable, popular product, and I really hope for their sake and for ours as the community that they can. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you liked this longer form video, because this is a style of, the video essay about the Minecraft thing is something we do about once a month on this channel. And if you subscribe, you can stay tuned for the next one. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow, probably. Bye.